Hey everyone, this is lesson 2.4, Deductive Reasoning. Okay, feel free to pause the video, complete the do now, write the converse of each conditional statement. If I am thirsty, then I drink water. If the car outside is wet, then it rained. Remember, converse means to flip your hypothesis and your conclusion. All right, resume the video when you're done attempting the do now. Okay, the converse of the first statement, if I am thirsty, then I drink water, is if I drink water, then I am thirsty. Okay, the converse of your second statement, if the car outside is wet, then it rained. If it rained, then the car outside is wet. Okay. Today we're going to be using deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is the process of reasoning logically from given statements or facts to reach a conclusion. I'm not sure why conclusion's all the way over here. Let's see if I can fix that up for us. Okay, the process of reasoning logically from given statements or facts to reach a conclusion. Okay, the first thing we're going to learn about today is the law of detachment. Okay, the law says if the hypothesis P of a conditional statement is true, then the conclusion Q is also true. Okay, so here's how it works. If P, then Q is true, and P is true, then Q must also be true. Okay, so if they're true together, they're true individually. We are detaching them, okay? So using that law of detachment, okay, what can we conclude from the given true statements? True statements. Given. If a student gets an A on a final exam, then the student will pass the course. Okay, well, if we take a look here, P, or our hypothesis, is if a student gets an A on the exam. The conclusion Q is the student will pass the course. And then the bit of information they give us is Felicia got an A on her final exam. Well, what can we conclude? If Felicia got an A on the final exam, then what happens to Felicia? We can conclude that she will pass the course. If a ray divides an angle into two congruent angles, then the ray is a bisector. Ray RS divides angle ARB, so that angle ARS equals angle SRB. So we can conclude, and let's see if we could draw this picture out. We have angle ARB. And then we have ray RS, cutting that angle in half. And what happens? These angles are congruent, right? So if they're congruent, that means it's an angle bisector. So what can we conclude is that ray RS is an angle bisector. All right, that's the law of detachment. Number 2, the law of syllogism. Okay, symbols. If P, then Q is true, and Q, then R is true, then P, then R is true. So if P then Q is true, if Q then R is true, then P then R is also true. So here's how it works. If it is July, then you are on summer vacation. Okay, so we have P, then Q. If you are on summer vacation, then you work at the smoothie shop. So this is if Q, then R. So we can conclude then, if it is July, P, then what happens? R is also true. If it is July, then you work at the smoothie shop. if P, then R, excuse me. P, then R. All right, that's the law of syllogism. It's almost like the transitive property, okay? If P then Q, then R, then we can jump from P to R. So using that law of syllogism, so here we go. If a figure is a square, then the figure is a rectangle. If P, then Q. Okay, then we have Q. If a figure is a rectangle, then the figure is, or then the figure has 4 sides. So if Q, then R. So then what we can conclude is if P, okay, then R, because that is the law of syllogism. So if the figure is a square, then the figure has 4 sides. All right. What about the next one? If you do gymnastics, then you are flexible. If you do ballet, then you are flexible. Well, there's a problem here. We have if P, then Q. But on the bottom here, we have if R, then Q. Meanwhile, in the law of syllogism, we need P, then Q, then R. Well, this does not follow that pattern. This is P, then Q, then R, then Q. We cannot conclude anything here because it does not follow the law of syllogism. Okay, using syllogism and detachment, what can we conclude from the given information? If you live in Accra, then you live in Ghana. Notice Accra is here inside of Ghana, right? So if we live in Accra is P, then Q. Then they proceed to tell us if you live in Ghana, then you live in Africa, which is if Q, then R. Then we say Asa lives in Africa. So they're combining the syllogism and detachment, okay? And we can conclude that Asa lives in Africa. And what else can we conclude? Okay, this is supposed to say Asa lives in Accra. Sorry about that. If Asa lives in Accra, we can conclude she lives in Ghana, and we can conclude she also lives in Africa. Okay? Your exit slip. If possible, make a conclusion from the given true statements. If it is sorry guys. If it is Tuesday, then you will go out for tacos. You go out for tacos is the other fact that they give us, which means we can conclude it is Tuesday. If it is Saturday, then you will walk to work. If you walk to work, then you wear sneakers. So what can we conclude? That if it is Saturday, then you will wear sneakers, okay? This is our syllogism. And this is detachment. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to submit your work via Hello Smart and check in for attendance. Thank you.